excuse me if I'm not pronouncing this last name, but it's Adam Oxu. I'm sorry if I didn't do that correctly. Business name, Vision Academy Charter School. The address of the proposed business is 901 Quarry Street. Proposed hours would be Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Number of employees, 50. Building owner, Adam. Type of a business is an existing charter school relocating from Lansdowne to provide educational services for children in kindergarten through 6th grade.
Thank you. I'm Robert Lynn. I'm the architect of the project. And I want to see you, but you still need free business.
Okay.
He's the architect of this building. He hired Borough. Often he works at Smite Works.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Chief?
Probably about 5 minutes of a presentation.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Basically speaking, we're representing, again, Adam is in the back right in the corner.
Okay.
Adam is the president of the board of the charter school. His principal, Isaac, is right next to him. One of his lead teachers was standing in the corner a minute ago. And you know Mike Costantino from my office as well. Mike and I, of course, built the building sitting in a couple years back. So we were approached to look for a location years ago for the charter school. First started out in 2015, and they were successful. They're in Lansdowne. They're in their 3rd year of operation at this point. And they're simply too successful. They're outgrowing their location. So they looked everywhere, and finally, unfortunately, found 901 Quarry Street. Now, everybody in the board knows 901 Quarry, but I have some great photographs in case you can't remember what it looks like. One of those is an aerial, and the other one is simply a picture of the building as it exists today.
Okay.
And I think this will give us a flavor. The little building with the sawtooth roof, the one which we have solar panels, is actually 901 Quarry. And of course, directly across from its wall and it names the other side of the roof. Fire company is in the corner. Right.
All right, thank you.
And this is the existing building as it is today. And of course, it's not exactly the showpiece of our borough. As it currently stands, it has a few issues. Limping along a bit. But we're going to fix that. This building, as you know, has some cellular communication equipment on it. It's basically been vacant for a number of years. It's been a problem for the borough. And there's activity around the site we're all happy about. And it's just simply been boarded up and closed. So I won't keep asking things out of this.
It's okay.
I like handouts. They're good. Give you a flavor. Chief, I think you know the building pretty well. Here's your own personal copy. Drive around back tonight. What we're proposing to do is take this building, which is vacant, and redevelop it for the quarry school. The building's 4 floors, about 26,000 square feet per floor, and there's also a basement that's below grade. We don't have any plans to use the basement because it does have periodic flooding. During the good storms, the basement does flood. It was used by the school district for storage once upon a time, but there's a high water mark about 3 feet up in the basement. So we don't want to use the basement for anything but parking some vehicles below the building. Our proposal is basically to take the property. Let's get this the right orientation. This is the building. This is Quarry Street.
Excuse me, sorry to interrupt you, but if you don't mind, if you would turn that way, since we do have this map and we can follow it through so the residents would be able to see what you're talking about.
I'm delighted.
If someone doesn't mind helping, and
in fact, hold it easy.
Okay, and then you can talk while they can see. So we don't want people to say that they didn't have the idea.
And I always run that challenge in any public meeting. I know I'm always trying to work 2 directions.
No, it's okay, right. No problem. Thank you.
It's kind of good idea. So one of the things we're doing, we're developing the site on the side closest to the fire company for parking. Right now, there's a little corner the fire company uses for parking. We're leaving that intact because we understand that's important. We don't want to, even though the land will be owned by the school, there's a long linear lot being developed along Quarry Street. Then the lot, which is immediately to the far side of the building, would be developed for parking as well. And then we have an opportunity to place 29 cars underneath the building There's a series of concrete columns that are 23 feet on center, but it creates a perfect parking grid to park below the building. The building itself, image-wise, is. Can you pass those little ones out there, Mike? It's right there. So you're looking at the existing building. In fact, pass one back to the audience. That'd be great. The building itself, you saw the existing. Maybe you didn't see it.
Thank you.
You just show this to the rest of the residents, if you don't mind. The building itself currently is this building. And what we're trying to do, and we're going to show you pictures with colors in a second, we're developing the building from this, and we're going to open up the old factory windows and develop in some capacity a new set of fenestration. Again, you can see the 4 floors of upgrade. There's currently a loading dock on the side. You've copied that. Good.
Yes, thank you.
It's a loading dock on the side. You'll notice we created a new entrance from the side. There's no accessible ramp. And then we have created a pull-up zone for bus stacking on the front for loading students. This is grades K through 6, kindergarten through 6. Currently, the school over in Lansdowne is operating with just under 300 students. They've outgrown that. Initial occupancy in the calendar year 2018/19 will be 440 students. There's a total of 3 specialty classrooms, art, music, and some computer science labs, and then there's some dedicated classrooms in the building. The initial pass of the building would develop floors 1, 2, and 4. They don't have need for 3. 4 is actually going to raise the roof and create a gymnasium space on the roof within it, multi-purpose space, because although the building has a concrete column grid down below, when you get to the top floor, it converts to steel columns, and there's a sawtooth factory roof. I haven't seen one that doesn't leak yet. And we're going to take that sawtooth roof off, raise it up vertically, and create a flat roof, and then allow some extra vertical space because we can span across that without removing the columns. First floor will be the entrance with the administration. It will be the multi-purpose room for serving warm meals, which are delivered from off-site. It would have some classrooms. The second floor is exclusively classrooms. The third would remain vacant for at this point, some expansion space. And the fourth, at this moment, is simply the center core of it with the multi-purpose in the gym. The future plan, because I always like to put everything on the table. I think it's important for any governmental body to understand it. Again, 2018 to 2019, 440 students, 40 staff members. Maximum build out of this building, if it is as successful as we think it will be, 5-year plan, 2022 to 23, which is a calendar school year. We're talking about approximately 700 students. So you're talking 440 to 700. That's your threshold. Beyond that, we can't accommodate any more in the building. And if we do the 700, we'd be fitting out the 3rd floor. Why am I excited by it? Well, first of all, and by the way, with me also, I should introduce John Parsons. John has built for a living charter schools for a long time.
I have one of these left.
John's just great to work with because he gets the charter school model. He's developed all the really successful ones in the area, and he has been retained to be the contractor and the builder on this project. We have a 1-year window of opportunity when we'll have most of it wrapped up by September 2018, so the calendar year can actually open. I'm excited because, having worked with you in this borough for many, many years on many projects, I see an opportunity to take this vacant and blighted building and frankly fix it and eliminate some of the issues that are surrounding the building. It's a nighttime nightmare out there. And don't forget, of course, as we do this, as we're moving along, during even that phase, the construction work, there's some job creation and there's a spin-off revenue. People always are buying something. They can do their BYOB at his restaurant after work. But there's always a spin-off of purchases of materials and other things. There's also jobs created during construction. It's a big job. Nice building permit fee associated with that, I would add. It's between $10 and $12 million in construction. This is not a lightweight investment by this owner. And of course, the long-term goal is to have a successful charter school that really covers the educational needs. But that's also jobs and spin-off businesses. So I always look at a vacant building like this that I get to recycle as a winner. So I'm really happy to represent the applicant. I think I gave you the basic overview. I can give you all kinds of detailed facts and discuss specifics. Oh, I wanted to show you one more set of pictures. Now you saw the gray image. Maybe I can walk back to the audience for a second. If you wouldn't mind, thank you. What we're trying to do with that gray image, I think you saw the gray version. We're doing all kinds of different color schemes and options. Hey, Paul.
Hi. Good.
So you get an idea of where we're trying to go. And we're going to have probably a lottery to pick who gets the colors. But the school's colors are the orange and the blue. But there's all kinds of iterations and options. I'm going to pass them around at the council table. Sorry, short change. All kinds of iterations and options of color and different things. But we're pretty excited. You don't get the borough colors tonight. Dangerous mixing out color early, but I always think that if you can see beyond what a building is, which is why I gave you pictures, there's all kinds of opportunities here to really make this a sparkling little gym. So I get to play architect, I get to study. And by the way, I have 19 more versions, but we will eventually, fine tune this. There's the window body color. There's round columns inside, and they're huge, 3 foot and a half. They're beautiful. I want to keep them. I want to pick up some optical windows in the classrooms. I want to pick up the fixed windows and then the fixed transoms above. So it gives you a flavor of what the original picture would usually look like for a little effort and a lot of money.
Does anyone on council have any questions? Okay, Rob. I would like to personally say I think this is something, my personal opinion is we need something like this in our borough. First of all, something this beautiful, but also I am an educator, and I just think it's very important and imperative that we expand and increase the knowledge of our children. After all, they are our future. And if we can't invest in education, what can we do? And with all of the negative things that have happened in our borough, negative publicity or whatever you may want to call it, and you gentlemen may not be privy to that, and it's really not important, I just welcome it. And like I said, I'm speaking from my opinion, from my heart. It's important, and thank you. Okay. Anyone? Any other questions? Okay, Ms. Brown.
Good evening. Mr. Lynn, you are the architect for this municipal complex, correct?
We did the community center first.
Right.
I think yes, and then we did this the police department and this community.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct.
Correct.
My question is for that particular, well, let's get to Visions first. Visions is being run out of St. Philomena's, and you're being evicted from there, correct? No. You're not being evicted? No. Okay, so the parish has not renewed your lease to stay there, correct? And aren't you the same company that tried to go to Colwyn to 5th Street last year? Right. And are you the same company that tried to go into Century Paint?
Well, let me
because there was supposed to be a charter school there.
Let me just clarify.
Okay.
They're a different company.
Okay.
No, this is an operating charter school.
Yeah, wait.
I just want to clarify the one that the Century Paint was James Duffy. And
Charter.
He tried to go into Century Paint, but he didn't even have a charter. His charter was denied, and then we denied him to go into Century.
Okay.
That was a complete
Okay.
Duffy.
But you were the same group that tried to go into Colwyn, and then you pulled out, correct? Okay.
But we were not evicted.
Okay. Well, they are not renewing your lease.
No, that's not true.
Okay. Well, why aren't you staying there?
We're outgrowing it.
Outgrowing. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Outgrowing the area.
So what is the cost that William Penn has to pay per child?
Is this relevant? This meeting?
Is it relevant? Absolutely, because you're bringing a charter school into our school district, which is going to suck money from our district. So how much per child are you charging? That's public record to William Penn School District.
It already exists.
It's already a charter. It's already there.
I'm asking you, how much do you charge per child?
Students are coming with their allocated money.
And how much per child?
I don't know off the top of my head, but the students are coming with their allocated money. The money that will be spent for them in the William Penn School District, they're coming with that money to be spent on them in our school.
Correct. And that's coming from William Penn School District taxpayers.
With the students.
Could I answer
With
that?
the taxpayer students as well.
I built the brochures I show you. I probably built about 30 of these schools all throughout Philadelphia, including public schools, so forth and so on. Charter school, and this is an argument that always comes up. The charter schools are already either they're needed or they don't have a charter. So that's number one. So obviously Vision Academy has a charter for a certain purpose, and that charter is renewed normally every 5 years. Normally, whatever the cost is to the district, it's not a cost to the district, it's that the district itself is separately funding that charter school with that money being discounted. In other words, he gets less money for a kid than the district gets for that same kid, and the district keeps that money, the extra money. So in Philadelphia, I can give you prime examples. In Philadelphia, if a kid is paid, if they pay a kid, so you get $10,000 to send your kid somewhere, you get $10,000 to send your kid somewhere, you get 10, everybody in the room gets $10,000 to send their kids to any place they want to send them. Charter school gets $7,500. And you don't get to keep the 10, that goes back to the school district, that $2,500 in savings. So a lot of cases and a lot of points have been that it's not as much of a money issue, or the school districts would have never have done this. It's a means and a methods to teach certain kids how to learn better.
Are you referring to?
If they're not good enough, believe me, the state comes down very heavily on the charter schools. They have major restrictions. They got major, reporting. They have all kinds of people that they're allocated to from the state plus the district plus that. So, and their finances have to be in order as well. If that's not in order, they're not going to be doing anything. They'll close it down. So they're giving an opportunity, and again, I don't know everybody in the room. I've just done this a long time, and all I can tell you is the purpose of what the charter school movement was is to try to give good competitive competition to one another. And you know what? Played sports all my life. There's nothing greater than competition. It makes everybody rise and the cream comes to the top. And it also gives families the opportunity that perhaps my kid isn't meant for that public school. Perhaps my kid's not meant for that Catholic school. It's just a third option. And really, I don't know who you are, but in my opinion, it's really about educating kids. And when we get past that point and we start making it like if they want, and I don't know where he was looking at. I know that Adam contacted me as a builder, but normally charter schools have to look at a lot of different locations to see the terms and conditions. When they brought me in on this site, I love this site. I've done this site. In Northeast Philadelphia, you go right to Ron Street. I got gymnasiums, just met this gentleman downstairs, and I said, this is beautiful, this place. This is the first time I was ever here for the kids to be able to play. I love seeing that. And I think that's the same thing that they do in charter schools, is you'll see cars there until 6 o'clock at night, sometimes 7 o'clock at night. If you go by the charter schools that I built, you'll see schools all hours of the night. And really, they're there teaching kids, and it's really about the children. I'm not identifying whether a kid should go to a Catholic school, private school, public school, charter school. I'm not getting into that. I'm just saying that the purpose of what they're doing here is to educate kids, and I think you put it right on the spot. What better than that? What better than that? What are we all here for?
Thank you very much. We're going to continue.
Well, I'm not finished my questions. This is a committee meeting, and I have the right to address it. You wanted to know who I am? I'm Paula Brown. My house is right there with the brown roof. And I have a right to question them as much as I possibly. There's no time limit on a committee meeting.
Well, go ahead. We need to wrap this up.
No, we don't need to wrap it up. No, we don't.
Which is your house?
My house is right here.
There's a lot of brown roads. I'm trying to figure it out.
Brown roof, right here. This is an old picture because this was all torn down and approved by your borough structural engineer, Mr. Constantine, or whatever his name is, okay? My question is, you were referring to school choice, I'm assuming. Okay, all right. Well, I'm an opponent of school choice. My children went to Catholic school. I worked and I paid for it. And I don't believe, as a Democrat, that the government has a right to give people money to put their children in private school. You want to put your children in private school, get a job and do it. That's my personal opinion. What? I'm sorry, school choice for private schools. What you were referring to, each student had $10,000. Yours get less, $7,500. You're paid from my tax dollars, my school tax dollars. That should be going into my school district. But that's besides the point.
But let me rebut what you're saying. You and I are both given the same opportunity. My children go to Catholic school as well. And I am given the same opportunity to send my children to public school. I choose to send my kids to Catholic school because I'm a Catholic.
So do I.
That has nothing to do with what you're saying. I'm telling you, as a taxpayer, it doesn't make a difference. If the number that the state puts on that child is based upon everybody's taxes.
It does have a lot to do with it, because that's minus going to the school district. Okay, but that's besides the point. Let's get back to the building. Okay,
It is the point.
so you're now covering a pervious area from there to the back of the stores on Quarry on Chester Pike with impervious material.
Correct.
Okay, correct. Now, what's going to happen with Mr. Barone that you allowed to dig out the quarry, which is no longer there? He parks his vehicles on that lot. He's not going to be able to park there now, right? Correct?
Well, unless Mr. Barone buys the land, as these gentlemen are, he can't park on the lot he doesn't own. That is correct.
Okay. So what are you going to do with the quarry across the street from where the factory is, where all those trees are?
There's no current plans to do
There's
it.
no plans for that. Okay. And there's going to be up to 700 children in that building. How many buses?
If this is successful in the 5-year plan, the number is 700. The bus numbers are going to start at 6. It'll be 8 to 9 when they're finished. There are also some smaller vans, as you're familiar with the process. There also, by the way, I have 115 cars to park on this, so I have compliant parking. And again, you're right. There's 2 topics this evening. One topic is whether charter schools should exist. All I can do is address coming to this borough and whether this is the appropriate location for the activity, not whether I can have a charter school. And again, we talk dollars. This is a $10 million investment. There's some dollars flowing into this project, which is the big number. And before the NRO, I'm asking whether I can put a non-residential occupancy in this abandoned building or not. And that's the purpose of my presentation. I understand your comments.
Well, I'll tell you my concerns. Okay. I am glad to see that it's not going to be a prison or a drug rehab. Okay. That's enlightening. That's good news. We're getting there. Okay.
And
Your
we're
pictures.
going to keep these kids out of those facilities in the future because they get well educated. So.
Your pictures are great. Okay. Looks nice. Looks good. However,
There's a butt coming.
and I'm totally against charter schools. Totally against school choice. But I'm a Democrat, a real Democrat, okay? I don't believe in that, okay? But, I mean, it's something that should be worked upon. However, I think you need to reach out to the neighbors as well and let them know, which I will let them know. The borough never lets anyone know anything. And I think we should be included in that. We should be included in all decisions because that's our front yard.
Well, that's what tonight's about.
Okay, well, nobody knew about it, and no one was told about it, as usual. I just happened to show up.
Okay.
Are you the contractor that's going to be building there?
Yes.
And then you'll hire subcontractors?
Yes.
And will that be a public bidding process?
Yes, it will.
And the residents will be allowed to know who you're going to select as your contractors?
Well, the residents will know because it'll be a public bid.
Okay. All right, that's all I have to say.
We'll probably have, I'm guessing, probably 11, close to 1,000 jobs by the time this is all done. I mean, you're also talking about economic development, so.
And is this in compliance with stormwater management now that you're turning all this area, which is pervious into impervious?
We need to.
That's going to be, stormwater management's going to all come into when it gets to plan review and everything else, and it would be, it's going to go in, this is just site, so obviously it's going to have to go through stormwater management review and everything else. So we'll be in compliance once we're done our reviews.
Because another concern I do have is this area right here is all impervious now, okay? And it's contributing, the runoff from here is coming down here and flooding this area, okay? And there's lots of wildlife here. There's turtles, there used to be hawks and eagles, which they're gone now since Mr. Barone has taken down everything.
And there's wildlife behind the building too, and they're on 2 legs.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Okay. I understand that they've always been there, and we've accommodated them.
We're going to get rid of them, okay?
Yeah.
But
okay.
this is of course, just let me just for 30 seconds. This is of course currently all a surface that is impervious. This is mostly impervious. Pieces of this is not. So we need to do stormwater management, stormwater recharge with acceptable percolation rates that take the storm events and put them back underground and recharge them. Standard engineering, which we do all the time. So that does not make me at all nervous. We've worked very hard with the circulation patterns. We've worked with a difficult site. I just think it's a winner for the borough. I truly do. I think it's an investment nobody else has been willing to make in this facility. And you're right, it's not a drug rehab. And that makes me as happy as it makes you.
It's not a juvenile delinquent hall, which is good.
Well, that's one step above. Yeah.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Lights?
Yeah, I got it. I think it's a good idea that you're bringing the school in this borough. But I got another question too. Are they going to pay taxes? Is the borough going to make money off the taxes?
Yes. Yes.
Huh?
Yes.
I need to know.
Thanks, Mr. Lights. Mr. Lights?
Yes,
Are you there?
I am absolutely. I tied you up longer than I anticipated.
Mr. Lynn, in this case, I have to agree with Mrs. Brown about they're not photographs, but architectural computer sketches are beautiful. That's because you're an architect, of course, and you do excellent work. And I think the proposed use for the building is, again, much better than previous applicants I've submitted, and I think it's a great investment in the future of our children and the children of the community, and it's also an investment in the community in that, of course, the borough will realize permit fees and income taxes and so on and so forth. So you're taking a dinosaur that's been sitting here, and you're turning it into a swan that'll sail up and down the Darby Creek once in a while. Thank you.
I like the analogy, thanks.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Lynn.
Thank you.
Okay, for our code office report for October. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Oh, that's right. Next Wednesday, the 15th, 7:30 for a vote the full council.
I'd be delighted to be here. Thank you. Thanks for your time this evening as well.
Thank you, everybody. Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nice to meet you. I know.